YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back, recapping the conference championship games. Both games, you could argue, decided by the officials. Could argue that. But at the same time, even though I didn't agree with all the calls, they were both very good games. Really enjoyed my time watching these games. Even though I didn't agree with some decisions there by the refs, whatever. But great games, great AFC and NFC. Both games went to overtime, which is crazy. So, yeah, we'll break these down in just a second. Before we get into it, follow our Twitter, Frogs_Angels, link in the description. Lots of good stuff on there. We talk during live games. We talk about the NFL draft, all kinds of fun stuff. And if you didn't know, we may be changing the channel name to be more fitting to what we do here. And we also have merch available for Frogs Angels. Before we change the name, some people requested that. So links will be in the description for different clothing for Frogs Angels there. So lots of good stuff going on here. We reached our 10K subscriber goal. We'll talk more on that in the near future with the other guys. Want to get the other guys involved, but we appreciate all the support. Appreciate you helping us get there. 10K has been our goal for a while, and we over the last few days we really not only got there but got well above it too. It's just can't thank you guys enough. But let's get into these games here. First one was the NFC Championship game. Rams win 26-23. The start of this game, man, I thought the Saints were going to pull away. I thought it was going to be an ass kicking, honestly. Saints marched down the field, convert a couple third downs, but have to kick a field goal. Credit to the Rams defense for stopping them for a field goal, but the Saints got to put the ball in the end zone. And they almost had it on that first drive. And then, the Rams about to go 3-and-out, but instead on third down they dump it off it's a check down to Gurley. They weren't getting the first down if he caught it, but he drops it, goes right into Demario Davis's hands. His first interception since 2013. That's kind of that Saints luck. Don't really want to call it I'd rather call it more clutch, I guess, because they're pretty consistent and it comes up at big times. There's other teams that are kind of lucky when you don't see them do it. So the Saints all year consistently did those things, so they're kind of a clutch defense there. So they come up big there. The offense only gets 3 points once again, and credit to the Rams defense. But the Saints got to put the ball in the end zone. I mean, this game could have been put away at this point. It really could have been. And, credit to the Rams for the comeback. When they got down, I talked about this during last week. I said for the Rams need to win the game, they got to stick to what they do best, run the ball, and they can't get down by 2 scores or more because then they can't run the ball anymore. It's too much pressure on Goff. And so they got down in that situation, but they were able to do other things. I keep saying credit to the defense, but the defense kept holding them to field goals, and they held them to 23 points in this game. So I got to keep crediting the Rams defense for stepping up, and I got to credit Jared Goff. I've been doubting him, at the end of the year, the last few weeks. Hasn't really looked good. He's still too quick to panic under pressure, but very clutch, very impressive. This whole Rams team was, Gurley, I'm not really sure what's wrong with him. I'm guessing he's still hurt. He's got to catch the ball better. He had a nice touchdown run at one point. That one play kind of looked like the old Gurley, but at this point it looks like Anderson's better, even though we know he's not. But that's really the only downside. Good thing is they get a 2-week break for Gurley to come back and get healthy and get ready to go. So that's the good thing there. So, yeah, I can't credit the Rams enough for the comebacks. I didn't think they could do, especially away, how loud that Saints stadium was, the Superdome was. Somebody was blowing a whistle the whole time. Well, really the first half, and they finally fixed that. But Rams, man, that comeback, a run first team, that they're not really run heavy team. They're not one-sided or anything, but run first team able to come back and do that. Huge. That defensive line was dominant. And Dominican Sue, really, I didn't know he existed. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but he was almost non-existent during the year. You didn't really notice him a lot unless he was doing, poking Larry Fitzgerald in the eye or something. And Michael Brocker's not really existent. Aaron Donald was the best defensive player in football. They got guys like John Franklin Myers stepping up, young guy, rookie. But those two guys I mentioned, Sue and Brockers, they didn't really step up until the playoffs. Sue last week against the Cowboys was great. In this game, he was great. Brockers had a good game here. So that entire D-line was elite. Obviously, Donald was dominant. But that D-line was very, very good. It played at elite level in the playoffs so far. And that was a big reason why they can win this game, why they won this game. So credit to them. Saints, man, they had to they got to get the ball in the end zone. Like I said, they could have put this game away a lot earlier if they just put that ball in the end zone. They were very close to doing it. I wanted them to take more deep shots. They did take quite a few deep shots, and they were either very close to working or they worked. So, I mean, more would have done it, I guess. So, that one to Ted Ginn late in the game, Joyner could have eaten. That really wasn't the best throw by Breeze. Good job to Ginn there, but Joyner could have, at the very worst, it should have been a tip pass and no interception, but it could have been an interception. Instead, Ginn catches it because he didn't really attack the ball at its highest point. He did go up, and he had his palms up. I was very surprised to see that from, kind of a well-known safety who's been pretty solid. Maybe he hasn't had the best year, but he's a solid safety. I was very surprised to see that. His palms up higher than his fingers. He's got to attack the ball at the highest point and go and catch the ball, really. The worst case there is the ball gets tipped around, and, maybe the Saints get lucky and catch it, but, you got to make a play like that. So I thought that was a big moment. But obviously the biggest moment was the no-pass interference call. Tommy Lee Lewis getting hit by Nickell Roby-Coleman. Live, actually, I yelled good play. I like seeing, if I see a good play, a clutch play, I get pretty hyped if it's no matter who the two teams are. So I got pretty hyped, and as soon as I saw the replay, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Like, how did they not call that? But then I do kind of back up and say what I thought live. It was a very fast play. That was about as fast a play as you can get there. And live, I thought it was a good play, but when you see it in slow-mo, it's not even close. It's not even close. And, I guess I ripped the refs all year. I ripped them all year, but I don't know why, but I don't want to defend them because they missed the call, and it was a very crucial call. We'll go into how crucial the call was in a second here, but I know other people thought the same thing too, live. It was so fast that you thought it was a good play, so you have to, I guess, say that maybe the refs thought the same thing, but they are standing on the sideline right there. But bottom line is they get the best of the best here, the best refs, and they missed that call, and everybody knows it. They know it. Nickell Roby-Coleman said it after the game. He knew his PI. He knows for sure. So, and if the Saints get the first down there, they run the clock, kick the field goal. Yeah, they got to make the field goal. Nothing crazy has to happen. So that kind of brings me to Michael Thomas's, what he's saying. He went to the rule book and said that the commissioner has the power to either reschedule the game or change the outcome, which I think would be ridiculous because you cannot say 100%. You can say 99.9, which I'm going to say right now. 99.9, the Saints win that game, run the clock, make the field, win that game. But you cannot say 100%. Therefore, I don't think you can give the Saints the win or reschedule or anything. That would be ridiculous in this situation. But like I said, 99.9% chance they run the clock, kick the field goal, no problems. Nothing crazy happens on any of the plays they run. Most likely. Probably happens. It happens, honestly. But you can't say it's 100%. But it's unfortunate. If the Saints were my team there, I'd be beyond pissed. I was pretty mad the way it is. But crucial, and that sends the Saints home. But at the same time, here's where I keep going back to. The Saints did have that's what everybody's saying. The Saints did have their chances. I know I credit Sean Payton. He said it too. He was getting pretty emotional too. You rarely see him like that in the post-game press conference there. But he kept saying, credit to the Rams, and we had our chances, but it just sucks, basically, is what he's saying. So I applaud him for that. I like that press conference, and I felt bad for him. But they did have their chances. They did have their chances in overtime. They got to go down there and score. But the main thing I look at is, and now people will disagree here. People will disagree. But I honestly think the Rams look like the better team, mainly in the end, because the Rams started off bad, started off slow. They had that very unfortunate that you do not see every day through Gurley's hands and right into the hands of a guy that hasn't had an interception since 2013. Good player, but doesn't get interceptions. And all that happens, and the game really should have. And you're not a team that really can come back. You're kind of run heavy team, run first team, not one-sided, but that's your game. You want to run the clock and play your game to win. And none of that went to plan. That was not the plan, what happened. And they still won the game. They still played better in overtime. Goff was clutch down the stretch. The defensive line, all that happened. it looked like the Rams were the better team. That's just what it looked like. The Saints should have won the game because of the missed call, and maybe they outplayed them at times in this game, but it almost looked like the Rams were the better team, and they were way on top of it. That's my thoughts. I know people will disagree. I hate the call, but at the same time, another but, these have been the calls all year. And people say that's the worst call of the year. I understand that argument because when it happened in the NFC Championship game, but I think there's been much worse calls. The ones that get me the most is when the ref throws the flag. They have the discussion for about, I always say 5 minutes, but it's actually not 5 minutes long. It's 2 minutes, really. I've seen it. And then they pick up the flag when it should have been a flag. That's very sketchy to me. And they pick up crucial ones that were obvious flags. Those ones were the worst calls to me, but this one was in the worst possible time besides the Super Bowl. So I understand the arguments. It was bad. Really, the Saints should be going to the Super Bowl because, not, like I said, 99.9% chance they finish that out. Nothing crazy happens. But the refs stayed consistent. They've been blowing calls all year. I think the teams, I don't want to take anything away from the teams that they're like the seed they are. Like the Saints were the 1 seed, the Rams were the 2 seed. They were good enough to be in those seeds anyways, but the refs made calls to put teams in positions they are in right now. The seeds they are in right now, the records they are in right now, teams that are maybe not in the playoffs. Would they have went this far? No, probably not. But all of that this year more than ever, and I said it all year, all of it's laid out the way it is because the calls the refs made this year. And I'm not going to applaud them for staying consistent, but it's not like they changed anything here. They're bad. They're bad. They don't know how to make calls. Sometimes it's sketchy. Sometimes it's not. And it's just how this season went. And it's terrible. It was an exciting NFL season because it was a lot of unexpected things. A lot of young players were crazy. A lot of sleeper teams stepped up. Crazy moments this year. So it was all exciting. A lot of high-scoring games, even though I'm a fan of old-school defense. But it wasn't a good year, and it's because of the league and the officials. They went away the way they went about things. Showed in this game. So congratulations to the Rams. They stepped up here. They got the Patriots the Super Bowl, obviously. We'll talk about the next game here. Patriots-Chiefs, 37-31. Could argue this was decided by some officials' calls, and starting from the top, though, the Patriots come out. I think Romo put it as they were putting on a clinic. Couldn't agree more. Chiefs couldn't do anything. Surprising thing was the Chiefs just not being able to score on offense. But then they were still in the game. The fact that they were starting so bad, it could be worse, but they were starting pretty bad, compared to how they normally are on offense. But they were still in the game. That was the crazy thing. The Patriots looked like they could have scored. Kind of like the way they were doing against the Chargers. It looked like it was going to be like that, but it wasn't. But then the Chiefs, had the opportunity to put 7 points on the board at one point. They had Mahomes had Damian Williams for a touchdown, and he overthrew him. And you can see Kelsey was just signaling touchdown before the ball was even thrown. He saw that Damian Williams was wide open, and he just overthrown. And then the next play, Mahomes takes a sack that puts him out of field goal range. So there's the he's not a rookie, but it's his first year starting. Because I wanted to say there's the rookie mistakes, but I guess I should say there's the first year starting mistakes, and it came at a bad time, but against a very good game planning team, a very good team, one of the best franchises and the best probably in NFL history with the same coaching staff and same quarterback, the same minds over there. So it's understandable, but the MVP of this game, and I forgot this. I can't believe I forgot. I apologize. I'm going back. MVP of this game was Zerline. He doesn't get enough credit. I can't believe I had to go back to this. The field goal, the pressure, and the field goals he made under the pressure, outstanding. And I forgot to mention Dante Fowler's clutch play there in overtime. That's what they traded him for. People bashed that trade, and it worked out. It worked out just because of that one play, and I'm sure he brings more. But back to this game. I apologize for that. MVP of this game is not specifically one player. It's the Patriots pass rush. The Patriots pass rush against the Chiefs, arguably the best offensive line in football this year. They couldn't really block them. There was times where Mahomes had all day, but then there was times where he had no time whatsoever. And it's the blitz. It's credit to the coaching staff. The blitzes they come up, the blitz packages they come up with, the way they get pressure. They watch the film on the Chiefs. They know how to beat them in that area. And it was just so impressive. We saw it against the Chargers too. Impressive then, even more impressive now. Is that going to carry over the Super Bowl? You would like to think so. for them to stay consistent. You would think so, but we will see there. But I thought that was the difference maker in this game. The Chiefs just scored that, they didn't score. I mean, they ended up scoring 31, which is a lot, but they should score more in an overtime game, and it's because of the pressure of the Patriots. Mahomes is a little off because of the pressure. So credit to all of those guys that were blitzing the guys coming off the line. Very impressive. Another thing, Brady could have had a few picks in this one. He didn't really play the best game. Yeah, he's clutch. That OT drive was great, perfectly placed balls, except for one that was behind Cordero Patterson. Other than that, perfectly placed balls. But he didn't really play the best game here. He had a pick to Ragland there. Great play by him. That was big time too, because the game would have got out of hand, I think, if that didn't happen. So that was clutch, even though they ended up losing the game. But there could have been a few more interceptions. But then really what I want to get to is towards the end of the game here. I think it really starts with Edelman's the muff punt. I think the ball hit him. It didn't end up mattering because of the interception right after, but it was a hot topic. I think people were looking at the thumbs, and it looked like from some angles hit the thumbs, but then from some angles you clearly can tell it didn't hit the thumbs. But when the ball hit the ground, I think it actually landed on his fingertips. I think in between the grass and the ball was his fingertips, and that's where I thought for sure he touched the ball. And then for them to overturn it was shocking, was weird, because they don't like overturning stuff. And then they throw the pick on the next play. So I guess it didn't really matter all that much, but didn't like that. The roughing the passer call, which was a crucial play, big play. If that roughing the passer call doesn't happen, we could be talking about a totally different game here, outcome. And that roughing the passer call, I think that one was the worst one on the whole year. I think that was I don't know the reasoning for throwing the flag too. I really don't know the reasoning. It's sketchy to say the least. It's very sketchy because there's no, there's an excuse for the Rams Saints one. That one doesn't seem sketchy. It just seems like they're very dumb. The excuse for that one was it was so fast, and even I thought it was a good play at first. But I think if I'm standing on the field, I think I get the play right. But it was so fast. Those refs have been in the league for a while. They're getting, I guess, up there in age. But this one, there's really no excuse. It's just like a crucial play. The Patriots would have had a punt, and we're gonna bail them out here. It's really how I took it, because there was no reason, there was no body weight, there was no nothing. I really don't. I think that was the worst call in the year. I think that was very bad. There was more terrible calls in this one too. The offsides on D Ford is a questionable one. He may or may have not been offsides. We got one screenshot in the replay of it, and everybody, I'm watching the game with people too. Everyone's like, oh yeah, he's over the blue line. Well, guess what? The blue line isn't actually on the field. The refs don't see the blue line. If you go back and look, you can find it on Twitter. The ball is actually before the blue line. The refs are looking at the ball. The ball is before the blue line. I'm not saying he wasn't over the ball. You can't really tell, so it was weird that they made that call, but the biggest thing was how late the flag was, because it was a free play, and who's going to who's going to take advantage of a free play? Brady. He didn't know it was a free play because the flag wasn't out yet. Ball ended up being picked. Game was probably going to be over, and there's the flag. So very interesting, another very sketchy part of the game. And I thought they tried to make up for it during the Chiefs drive at one point, pass interference, roughing the passer, which kind of stayed consistent with this year's roughing the passer, but still don't agree with it. They kind of try to make up for it. It's a fact that the refs do makeup calls. There's makeup calls in the league for the refs, and we saw it in the Rams game too. We saw it in the Saints-Rams games at time, but it happened here. And then the Patriots left too much time for the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs left too much time for the Patriots. Patriots win the game, score. Chiefs go get the field goal. Game goes to overtime, and then whoever gets the ball first in this overtime is winning the game. That's just it. Credit to the Patriots. They were clutch third down conversions. But here's where I bash the Chiefs. I do not like calling timeouts to get the offense time to call a play, but in this situation in overtime, you have to call the timeouts. I don't know how they were not calling timeouts. They kept converting on third down the same play over and over and over again. Call a timeout, get your defense rested, and tell them what to look for, because you just seen it happen a million times. So terrible. I don't know who to blame more for that. Defensive coordinator Andy Reid got to call timeouts. I guess the timeout calling is on Andy Reid. The defensive coordinator's got to step up, recognize what's going on, let his players know, call a timeout, tell Andy Reid got to call a timeout. So I blame more on the defensive coordinator there, which I haven't blamed this year because I don't know if they've had the talent. But terrible to not call a timeout there. Just terrible. So I thought that was really, the Patriots probably would have scored anyways, but there was so many third down conversions that you could have avoided this. You could have forced a field goal attempt. Even if he made it, you get the ball back. It is a shame that Mahomes and the Chiefs don't get the ball at all. That's the flaw in overtime. I don't think you can do college overtime, even though it's maybe the most exciting thing in my opinion, in sports, college overtime. But the better red zone team will win then, so that'll be that argument. So there's got to be a way where both teams need to touch the ball, is really what I'm trying to say. But I'm not a huge fan of changing a classic great sport. They already ruined quite a bit, and they're talking about changing onside kicks now, and it's just bullshit, really, honestly. So really all that needs to happen is the refs need to be better. I think we need to get new ones in here. I think people look too much into the replacement ref thing. It doesn't have to be specifically those refs, and they say, how bad was that? And then the regular refs came back and it was much better. Yeah, the regular NFL refs were good then. The replacement refs, I think so much is put on them from that one play of the Seahawks-Packers. It lost Aaron Rodgers the game, so I think people look at that too much and overreact. That was terrible, but I seen much worse this year that costed games, and I think people are just looking at it in one play for the replacement refs, so it doesn't need to be those refs too. So I think maybe you give these refs one more chance, but you gotta lay down the law here. But I don't think the NFL is really they need to do it. I don't know if they want to do it. I think maybe they play a part in this. They know what happened in this game, though, and like I said, makeup calls exist, and I'm expecting next year some big-time makeup calls for the Saints and the Chiefs. I expect big-time makeup calls. You could argue that it should be the Saints and Chiefs Super Bowl this year. Hey, maybe that's just what the shitty thing is about the league now, is they'll make up some calls. It's stuck in their mind. So maybe the Saints and the Chiefs get the advantage next year. I know you'd rather have the Super Bowl right now because you got to go a whole year to go through. But they'll get their makeup calls next year. There's no doubt in my mind. And it's really wrong. They should have got it right now, really. But it's really wrong what they do with the makeup calls, and they'll continue to do it. A lot of sketchy things, a lot of things I don't agree with the officials. But overall, these were two very good games. They were two very good games, two overtime games, exciting games. I could have thought of a better Super Bowl, really, but the Patriots-Rams should be good. I really already have my prediction. We got to wait another week, though, or we got to wait 2 weeks, really, but for the Super Bowl to take place. I already know my prediction. I know the keys to the game. I know how each team could win, even the team I have losing, what needs to happen. I'm not saying I'm 100% right or anything. I'm just saying that's just kind of how I view it. I always view things first by the matchup, how games will go down, but realistically, there's a lot of luck involved, so you can't predict it, and there's officials are involved too, like these games. So it's very hard to predict this year because of those reasons. We'll see. I'm curious to see what the other guys predict for the Super Bowl as well. So that's going to do it for this one. So much went on. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. I'm always open to talking about stuff on Twitter, frogs_angels. I'm open to talking about stuff on in the comments here. But, we got to wait a whole week. I'll have other videos. I'm working on some rankings based on 2018. I'm going to do my own top 100. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to reveal it kind of like the actual top 100, but my list is going to be much better because it's actually going to make sense. It's based off the 2018 season where the NFL Network won. They don't know what it's based off. Is it based off the past? It's based off the past year. Is it going forward? Are the players really voting? How many players vote? It makes no sense. But I'll make mine. I'll rank players based on this year on their position, top 10 each position. That's coming in the future here. Kind of want to have the Super Bowl go into effect as well. What else we got? I graded first-round draft picks from 2018. People didn't really understand the video, but I'll grade the rookies so people understand a little better. I'll grade full draft classes. We're going to talk the drafts all the way up until the draft. We're going to talk free agency. Lots of good stuff here. Lots more to come. Hope you guys can join us for it. Appreciate everyone's support. It's been just fantastic. Love you guys out there. Love all the support. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the like button. That'd be much appreciated as well. More to come. Yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.